It's just a chair. You can stand in the corner. Don't be dramatic, my father says. He says it in front of 53 guests, 6 weeks after my ankle reconstruction surgery, at a party I planned, I decorated, and I paid for, down to the last centerpiece. I'm standing there in a walking boot and a navy dress I picked out 3 days ago, leaning on a single crutch, watching a woman I've never met settle into my seat. She's been dating my brother for 2 weeks. What my parents don't know is that I discovered something about my bank account 3 days earlier, something that makes just a chair the least of their problems. By the end of this night, it won't be me standing in the corner anymore. Before I go on, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely connect with this story. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I love knowing where you all are listening from. My name is Ondine. I'm 34 and I'm an event planner in Ridgemont, Pennsylvania. Now let me take you back 6 weeks before that party. To the afternoon, everything started to crack. The floor at the Hargrove Estate venue is wet from overnight rain. I'm there to measure the tent footprint for a June wedding, my biggest contract of the year. I take one step down the stone stairs near the garden terrace, and my left foot slides out from under me like someone pulled a rug. I hear the snap before I feel it. Then I feel it. Compound fracture, left ankle. The orthopedic surgeon uses the phrase reconstructive repair 3 times during the consultation, and each time, the number attached gets larger. Surgery, 8 weeks non-weight bearing, 3 to 6 months of physical therapy. My career depends on being on my feet 10, 12 hours a day, walking venues, directing setups, sprinting across ballrooms when the florist delivers the wrong shade of white. I call my mother from the recovery room. My voice is still thick from anesthesia. I tell her what happened. Maureen Finch listens for about 12 seconds. "So you can still organize our anniversary party, right?" she says. "It's in 6 weeks. Not, 'Are you okay?' Not, 'Do you need anything?' Not even, 'That sounds painful.' Just the party, their 40th. "Yeah, Mom," I say. "I can still do the party." "Good, because your father's been looking forward to it." She hangs up. I stare at the ceiling tiles, still groggy, still numb from the waist down. The nurse comes in to check my IV. Rachel Voss, my colleague, my closest friend, is the only person sitting in the visitor's chair. She drove me to the hospital. She's the one who called my insurance company. No one from my family comes. Not that afternoon, not the next day, not once during the entire recovery. Rachel brings me soup on day 3. My mother sends a text on day 5. "Don't forget, the caterer needs a final head count by the 20th. Here's the thing about being the responsible child. Nobody ever asks how you became responsible. They just expect it. Like gravity. Like weather. 3 years ago, my parents were 3 months behind on their condo rent. Gerald, my father, had just been laid off from the paper mill outside Ridgemont. Maureen has never worked a paying job in her life. The landlord filed eviction papers on a Tuesday. By Friday, I'd bought the condo. Cash from my savings. $87,000. I put my name on the deed, set up a lease at $400 a month. Market rate is $1,400. I also opened a joint savings account, mine and Gerald's name, so they could access funds in a genuine emergency. I seeded it with $22,000. My physical therapy reserve, my safety net. In 3 years, my parents have paid rent on time exactly 0 months out of 36. Every emergency withdrawal has gone to the same place, my brother Brent. Brent's car repair. Brent's speeding ticket. Brent's bail after his second DUI. Last month, Maureen called asking for $3,200. "The water heater's shot," she said. "We'll freeze." I transferred it within the hour. 2 weeks later, Gerald mentions in passing that the water heater's been running fine all winter. Where did that $3,200 go, I start to wonder, but I'm in a walking boot, planning a party from my couch with my ankle elevated on 3 pillows, and honestly, I don't have the bandwidth to chase it. Not yet. I ask Rachel to look at the account statements when she has a minute. She's an accountant. She's thorough. "Sure," she says. "But Ondine, promise me you'll actually look at what I find." At that point, I don't know how much they've already taken. The real number won't surface until 3 days before the party. Let me tell you about Brent. My brother is 38 years old. He has never held a job longer than 6 months. He's been fired from a warehouse, a car wash, a landscaping crew, and a restaurant where he lasted 11 days before the manager caught him pocketing tips from a coworker. He's had 2 DUIs. He owes money to at least 3 people I know about, probably more I don't. He plays online poker the way some people breathe, constantly and without thinking. He has also been my mother's favorite since the day he was born. I don't say that with bitterness. I say it because it's a fact, the same way Pennsylvania is cold in February. Every time Brent wrecks something, a car, a relationship, a lease, Maureen calls me. Same script every time. He's your brother. Family helps family. And I do. Every time. Because the alternative is listening to her cry on the phone for 45 minutes about how nobody cares about this family except me. Meanwhile, I built a business from nothing. I plan weddings, corporate events, fundraisers. I have a client list. I have a reputation. When the Rotary Club needed a gala coordinator last year, they called me. When I told my mother about the Rotary contract, $15,000, my biggest single booking, she said, "That's nice. Can you send Brent 200? He's short on groceries." I sent 200 that night. I never brought up the Rotary Gala again. Brent is currently sleeping on a friend's couch in Wilkes Barre. He's been evicted from 4 apartments. He calls our mother every week. She tells him everything is going to be fine. She tells me to fix it. Rachel calls on a Wednesday evening. Her voice is careful, quiet, the way people sound when they're about to deliver bad news. "We need to talk about your savings account," she says. "Call me when you can. It's not good." I don't call Rachel back that night. Instead, I spend 3 hours finalizing the seating chart for my parents' anniversary dinner. 8 guests at the head table. Mom, Dad, me, Brent, Aunt Donna, Uncle Ray, Great-Aunt Ruthie, and Cousin Ellen. 53 total across 7 tables at the VFW Hall on Maple Street. I designed the centerpieces myself. White hydrangeas with eucalyptus, small framed photos from my parents' wedding. I ordered a 3-tier cake from Martinelli's Bakery. I booked the caterer, chose the menu, chicken piccata or prime rib, garden salad, roasted potatoes. I printed the invitations on cream linen cardstock. Total cost, $6,500, all mine. My parents haven't contributed a single cent. Every day Maureen calls with a new demand. Never a question about my ankle, never a "how are you healing?" Just instructions. Change the font on the place cards. Add the Lombardis. Your father just remembered them. I don't want salmon. Switch it to prime rib. I make every change. I tell myself this is the last big thing I'll do for them. The final gesture. After the party, I'll step back, set limits, start fresh. I practice walking in the boot around my apartment. Left foot, crutch, right foot. The physical therapist told me the reconstruction is solid, but I need to stay off it as much as possible for another 2 weeks. I plan to sit through the entire dinner. That's the whole reason I put myself at the head table, so I wouldn't need to move. On Thursday morning, I finally call Rachel. She doesn't ease into it. "They've withdrawn $18,000 from your joint account, Ondine. 4 separate transactions over 2 months, all signed by your father." My chest goes cold. I told myself the party was the last big thing I'd do for them. I had no idea how right I'd be. Rachel reads me the transactions one by one. I sit on the edge of my bed with the phone on speaker, staring at my walking boot like it's the only real thing left in the room. March 2nd, $4,800. March 14th, $4,200. March 29th, $5,000. April 8th, $4,000. $18,000 total. That was my physical therapy fund, Rachel. I know. That account was for emergencies. I put Gerald on it in case something happened to me, a car accident, a hospital stay. That's it. I know. I call the bank. The branch manager pulls the records. Every withdrawal was signed by Gerald Finch, authorized, legal, because his name is on the account. There's no dispute process, no fraud claim. He had the right to withdraw. That was the whole point of joint access. I ask Rachel to cross-reference the dates. She finds it in under an hour. The $4,200 on March 14th went directly to Ridgemont Pawn and Trade. The same day Brent's truck was repossessed for unpaid loans. Another chunk lines up with a payment to the Luzerne County Clerk of Courts. Brent's second DUI fine, $18,000. 6 months of physical therapy my insurance won't cover. The difference between walking normally again and limping for the rest of my life. My career is standing, literally standing, on concrete floors, on grass, on gravel parking lots, for 10 or 12 hours at a stretch. Without full rehabilitation, I'm done. Ondine, Rachel says quietly. This isn't a mistake. This is a pattern. I sit with that sentence for a long time after she hangs up. Then I open my laptop and pull up the lease agreement for my parents' condo. Renewal date, April 30th. 45 days away. I haven't signed the renewal. I print the non-renewal form, just in case. I sit alone that night in my apartment. The walking boot is propped on a pillow. The non-renewal form is on the kitchen table, unsigned. The SAOK, the account statement, is next to it, every withdrawal highlighted in yellow. I do the math. Without the $18,000. No outpatient physical therapy. My insurance covers the surgery, not the rehabilitation. I can do basic exercises at home, but the specialist program, the one Dr. Henley specifically recommended, costs $3,000 a month for 6 months. Without it, the odds of full recovery drop significantly. If my ankle doesn't heal right, I limp. If I limp, I can't run a venue setup. If I can't run setups, I lose contracts. If I lose contracts, I lose everything I've spent 12 years building. And if I stay quiet? If I swallow this the way I've swallowed every other withdrawal, every other emergency, every other lie about a water heater that was never broken? My father will keep withdrawing. There's still $7,000 left in that account. Brent will keep gambling. Maureen will keep calling. I'll keep paying for their condo, their son's mistakes, their entire lifestyle, until there's nothing left of me. Or I look at the non-renewal form, 30 days notice, legal, clean, my right as the property owner. Not an eviction, a decision not to renew a lease that's been violated 11 months out of 36. I pick up a pen, then I put it down. I'm not ready yet. I need to hear what they say first. I need to give them one chance to tell the truth. I call my mother the next morning, Sunday, 3 days before the party. I wasn't ready to make that call yet, but I folded the non-renewal form into thirds and tucked it inside my clutch, just in case. Mom, I need to ask you something about the savings account. 3 seconds of silence. I count them. What about it? Maureen says. $18,000 is gone. 4 withdrawals. Dad signed for all of them. Another pause. Then her voice shifts. The same smooth, measured tone she uses when explaining to neighbors why Brent isn't working. Controlled. Practiced. Your father and I borrowed it. We were going to tell you. It's been 2 months, Mom. We've been busy with the party. Where did the money go? Bills? The water heater replacement? You know how expensive things are right now. The water heater Dad told me was working fine? Silence. And the $4,200 to Ridgemont Pawn and Trade? That's when the tone changes. No more smooth, no more measured. Are you spying on us now? Is that what we raised you to be? I don't raise my voice. I'm reading my own bank statement, Mom. That money was a family emergency. Brent needed help. Brent always needs help. He's your brother. Gerald's voice comes from the background. He must be on speaker. Your mother's right. We'll pay it back. Let's not ruin the party over this. Pay it back how, Dad? You're on a pension. Mom doesn't work. We'll figure it out. We always do. They always do. Which means I always do. I tell them I need to go. Maureen gets in one last sentence before I hang up. Her voice drops to something hard and flat, like a door closing. And don't you dare bring this up at the party. You'll embarrass the whole family. I stare at the phone for a long time. Then I open my clutch, take out the non-renewal form, and sign it. The VFW hall on Maple Street looks exactly the way I planned it. White tablecloths, hydrangea centerpieces, a banner stretched across the far wall, 40 years of love. The string lights I ordered cast a warm amber glow across the hardwood floor. I did all of this from my couch with a broken ankle and a laptop. I arrive at 6:15, 15 minutes before the guests. Walking boot, crutch under my right arm, navy cocktail dress, hair pinned up in a twist, small pearl earrings. My clutch is tucked under my left arm. Inside it, the signed non-renewal notice, folded into thirds. The bank statement, 4 withdrawals highlighted in yellow. I zipped the clutch closed this morning and haven't opened it since. Everything I might need is in here. The hall fills quickly. Uncle Ray and Aunt Donna come in first, then the Lombardis, then Great-Aunt Ruthie, 78 years old, using a cane and still sharper than anyone else in the room. Cousin Ellen, Donna's daughter, 30, wearing a green wrap dress, spots me near the entrance and rushes over. She hugs me. "You look great. Mom was worried about you." "Worried how?" Ellen hesitates, glances toward the head table where Maureen is smoothing a napkin. "Just worried." I let it go. For now. I check the head table. 8 place cards, exactly as I arranged them. My seat is at the far end, next to Aunt Donna, close enough to be part of the family, far enough that I won't need to get up. Maureen and Gerald are already at the center, greeting people with matching smiles. They haven't looked at me once. I sit down. My ankle throbs the second I lower my weight. But I'm sitting. That's what matters. Or so I think. Ellen comes back 10 minutes later. She slides into the chair next to mine, Uncle Ray's seat, but he's at the bar, and leans in close. "Okay, I need to tell you something," she says, "and I don't want you to get upset." That's never a good start. "Your mom told my mom you've been taking a lot of painkillers since the surgery, like a lot." I set my water glass down. "What exactly did she say?" "She said you were dependent, that you haven't been yourself, that you might, her words, cause a scene tonight." I look across the room at Maureen. She's laughing with Gerald's cousin, one hand on his arm, the picture of warmth, the perfect hostess. At a party she didn't plan, didn't pay for, and didn't lift a finger to organize. Now I understand the looks. When I walked in, 2 of my father's aunts glanced at me sideways, then quickly away. I thought it was the boot. It wasn't the boot. Maureen built a story before I even arrived. If I say anything tonight about the money, about the account, about any of it, the narrative is already set. Ondine's on pills. Ondine's unstable. Poor Maureen, dealing with such a difficult daughter. She didn't just take my money. She took my credibility. Before I even walked through the door. I look at Ellen. "I stopped taking painkillers 2 weeks after surgery. I'm on over-the-counter ibuprofen. That's it." "I believe you," Ellen says. "I just thought you should know." "Thank you." She squeezes my hand and goes back to her seat. Aunt Donna settles in beside me, her reading glasses perched on her nose. She pats my arm without a word. I touch the clutch in my lap. The zipper is still closed, but something inside me has opened. Brent arrives 40 minutes late. He walks in wearing a wrinkled dress shirt, top button undone, no tie. Behind him is a woman I've never seen. Blonde, late 20s, floral sundress, clearly uncomfortable in a room full of strangers. She's holding his arm like she might bolt. Maureen rises from the head table like she's greeting a returning soldier. "Oh, Brent, you brought someone! How wonderful!" She hugs him. She hugs the woman. She beams. "Everyone, this is Tiffany, Brent's girlfriend." Tiffany gives a small wave. A few people smile politely. Great-Aunt Ruthie squints at her, then at Brent, then back at Tiffany, like she's working out a math problem. The problem is simple. Head table, 8 chairs, 8 people already seated. No room for a 9th. Maureen does the math faster than anyone. She turns to me. That smile, the one she saves for when she's about to ask me to shrink. "Honey, can you let Tiffany sit here? She's our guest." "Mom, I just had surgery. I can't stand for 3 hours." Her smile doesn't waver. "There are chairs by the wall. You can sit over there." Over there is 15 feet away. A folding chair against the cinder block wall, alone. Away from the head table, away from the family, away from the dinner I paid for. "Mom, I organized this entire event. I'm sitting at this table." Maureen's jaw tightens. She leans in, drops her voice, but not far enough. Half the table can hear. "Don't make this difficult. She's a guest. Your family." As if family means I should always be the one who moves. I look past her at Gerald. He's watching, fork in hand, not moving. I wait for my father to say something. Gerald sets his fork down. He dabs the corner of his mouth with a napkin. Then he stands, slowly, the way he does when he wants the room to know he's about to handle something. Ondine, he says, not quietly. It's just a chair. You can stand in the corner. Don't be dramatic. The room goes still. I can hear the clink of ice in someone's glass 3 tables away. The caterer pauses mid-stride near the kitchen door. 53 people and nobody is chewing. Brent leans against the wall behind Tiffany's new chair. He shrugs. Yeah, it's not that deep. Tiffany looks down at the tablecloth. She can feel the weight of something she doesn't understand yet. From the far end of the table, Great Aunt Ruthie speaks. Her voice carries the way it always has, clear and unapologetic. That girl just had surgery, Gerald. What's the matter with you? Gerald doesn't look at her. He looks at me, waiting. I look down at my walking boot. The Velcro straps, the stiff plastic shell holding my ankle together. 6 weeks of healing, 6 weeks of planning this party from a couch. I stand up. It takes effort. The crutch catches on the chair leg. My ankle screams as my weight shifts. Aunt Donna half rises to help me, but I shake my head. I can do this myself. My clutch slips from my lap as I push back. It falls open just slightly, a flash of white paper visible inside. Aunt Donna glances at it. She says nothing. I pick it up, close it, tuck it under my arm. Tiffany sits in my chair without meeting my eyes. Gerald smooths his napkin. See? No big deal. Let's enjoy the evening. No big deal. The story of my entire life in this family. The corner is exactly as cold as it looks. I lean against the cinder block wall near the emergency exit. The crutch props under my right arm. My left ankle pulses with a dull, deep ache, the kind the surgeon warned me about. Don't stand on it for extended periods. The hardware is still settling. From here, I have a perfect view of the head table. My hydrangea centerpiece. My place card, Ondine in calligraphy I chose, now pushed aside to make room for Tiffany's plate. Maureen is pouring wine. Gerald is slicing into prime rib. Brent is telling a story with his hands, grinning at something I can't hear. Nobody brings me a chair. Nobody offers their seat. Nobody walks over. The caterer, a woman named Janet, whose company I've hired for 4 events this year, passes with a tray. She stops, looks at me, frowns. Ms. Finch? Why are you standing? Let me get you a... I'm fine, Janet. Thank you. She hesitates, then moves on, glancing back once. 2 minutes later, Aunt Donna appears at my side. She's carrying her own plate, as if she just happened to wander over. But I know Donna. Nothing she does is accidental. This isn't right, she says quietly. And you know it. I know. What are you going to do? I look at the clutch under my arm, the paper inside it, the signature I put on that form the morning after my mother told me not to embarrass her. I haven't decided yet. Donna looks at me for a long moment. Then she says something I'll carry with me for a long time. I've watched your mother do this for 30 years. You don't owe her a corner. She walks back to her seat. I stay standing, but not for much longer. Someone clinks a glass. The room settles. Maureen stands at the head of the table, one hand pressed to her chest like she's about to deliver a eulogy. Her eyes are already glistening, a skill she's perfected over decades. I just want to say a few words, she begins. 40 years with this man, 40 years of building a family, a home, a life. She looks at Gerald. He nods, the good husband. We've been blessed with 2 wonderful children. Brent, she pauses, reaches for his hand. Who's finding his way, and who brought this lovely young woman into our lives tonight? Tiffany, welcome to the family. Tiffany smiles nervously. Brent squeezes her shoulder. I wait. And of course our friends and family who came out tonight. We're so grateful. That's it. She's done. From somewhere near the bar, Great Aunt Ruthie's voice cuts through the applause. Maureen, aren't you going to thank Ondine? She put this whole thing together. A few heads turn toward the corner where I'm standing. Maureen blinks. Her smile recalibrates. Oh, of course. Ondine helped too. Helped. Like I carried in a casserole dish. Like I showed up an hour early to set out napkins. Not like I spent 6 weeks organizing every detail from a hospital bed. Not like I wrote a $6,500 check for this room, this food, these flowers. Helped. I tighten my grip on the clutch. At that moment, I make my decision. Not out of anger, out of clarity. I stood there listening to my mother thank everyone in the room except the person who made that room possible. And I thought, have you ever been the invisible one? The one who pays, who plans, who shows up but never gets mentioned. If you've ever stood in that corner, literally or figuratively, tell me in the comments, what was your last straw? I'd really love to know. Brent finds me by the wall 10 minutes later. He's holding a beer, his third, from the look of it, and wearing the expression of someone who believes he's being generous. Don't take it personally, sis. He says it loud enough for the two couples at the nearest table to hear. Mom just wants everything perfect tonight. I organized everything tonight, Brent. He grins. That grin, the one that says nothing I do is serious enough to count. Yeah, well, that's kind of your thing, right? Planning parties? My thing. Like it's a hobby. Like I don't have a business license, a client roster, and a tax ID number. I don't respond. He takes a swig, satisfied, and drifts back toward the head table. But he doesn't make it there. Tiffany meets him halfway. She's got her purse strap in both hands, twisting it. Brent, she says, can I talk to you for a second? He waves her off. Not now, babe. She ignores that. She walks up to me instead. Her voice is low, uncertain. Hey. I didn't know there weren't enough chairs. Brent told me you offered to switch. He said you were fine with it. I look at Brent. He's frozen mid-step, beer halfway to his mouth. I didn't offer anything, I tell Tiffany. But it's not your fault. She stares at me. Then she turns to Brent. Her face shifts, something clicking into place. You told me she was cool about it, she says. Brent shrugs. Can we not do this right now? But the two couples at the nearest table heard every word. One woman looks at her husband. He raises an eyebrow. The cracks are starting to show, not just in my family, in the story Maureen built around it. Dinner service begins. Plates of chicken piccata and prime rib move from the kitchen to the tables in steady waves. The smell of rosemary fills the hall. I'm still standing. No chair, no table assignment, no plate. The caterer didn't set a place for me at the wall because, why would she? I'm supposed to be at the head table. Aunt Donna notices. She stands, takes her own plate, and carries it to me with a fork and knife wrapped in a napkin. Here, eat something. Maureen sees this from across the room. She's on her feet in seconds, weaving between tables with the efficiency of someone used to controlling every room she's in. Donna, don't encourage her. She says it loud enough for half the hall to catch. She's making a scene standing there looking miserable. She could sit at the kids' table if she really wanted. The kids' table. I'm 34 years old. I own the building my parents sleep in. I run a business. And my mother just told a room full of relatives I belong with the 8-year-olds. Aunt Donna doesn't flinch. Maureen, she has a broken ankle. It's not broken. She exaggerates everything. It was surgically reconstructed 6 weeks ago. She's walking, isn't she? It can't be that bad. From the head table, Gerald's voice. Can we please just eat? That sentence. That tired, dismissive, conversation-ending sentence. The verbal equivalent of a man pulling a blanket over his head. I set Donna's plate down on the nearest table. I look at the head table. At the banner. At my centerpieces. At the $6,500 worth of evening that is not and has never been about me. I open my clutch. And for the first time tonight, I reach inside. My fingers touch the edge of the paper, folded in thirds, crisp. The bank statement is beneath it, clipped to a second copy. I don't pull them out yet. I stand there, clutch open, and I look around the room one last time. The centerpieces I picked out at 6 a.m, one-handed, scrolling through a wholesale site with my ankle throbbing. The tablecloths I chose. White, not ivory, because Maureen changed her mind 3 times. The string lights I called 4 vendors to find because the first 3 were out of stock. $6,500. And she said I helped. I look at the head table. My mother's wine glass, half empty. My father's clean plate. Brent's third beer. Tiffany sitting in my seat, her napkin barely touched, looking like she wants to disappear. I think about the joint account. The empty line where $18,000 used to be. I think about Dr. Henley's face when he explained the rehab program. Serious. Precise. This is the difference between full recovery and permanent limitation, Ondine. I think about my ankle, about my career, about every morning I'll wake up and feel the damage my parents funded with my own money so their son could gamble and drive drunk. If I sit back down, wherever they put me, in whatever corner they assign, I will sign that renewal in 45 days. And nothing will change. Not ever. I pull the papers from the clutch. Folded. Not yet open. I step toward the head table. The crutch taps the hardwood floor. Once, twice, 3 times. Aunt Donna watches me go. She doesn't stop me. I didn't plan a speech. I didn't rehearse. I just know that if I sit back down in their corner, I'll never stand up for myself again. The crutch makes a sound like a metronome on the old hardwood. Tap, tap, tap. A few guests near the center aisle stop eating. Forks hover. Heads turn. I pass the Lombardi's table. Mrs. Lombardi nudges her husband. He sets down his wineglass. I pass Great Aunt Ruthie. She watches me with eyes that have seen 60 years of Finch family nonsense and looks like she's been waiting for this exact walk. I stop behind Gerald's chair, close enough to see the embroidered monogram on his shirt pocket, the shirt I bought him last Christmas. Maureen looks up. Her face cycles through 3 emotions in under a second. Surprise, annoyance, fear. Ondine. Her voice is a whisper that wants to be a command. Sit down. Not here. I've been standing for an hour, Mom. On a reconstructed ankle. I think I've earned the right to say something. Gerald turns in his chair. Ondine, this is not the time. When is the time, Dad? He blinks. Because I called 3 days ago and you told me to drop it. I said we'd talk after the party. No. You said, and I'll quote you, don't ruin your mother's night. The same night you're wearing a suit I bought you, eating food I paid for, at a party I organized. The hall is silent now. Not the comfortable silence of a pause between toasts. The heavy, electric silence of 53 people who all just realize something is about to happen. I place the folded papers on the table, between Gerald's water glass and Maureen's wine. The white rectangle sits there like a held breath. I'm not here to ruin your party, I say. I'm here to stop ruining myself. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. I unfold the first page. Mom. Dad. I keep my voice level, conversational, like I'm confirming a catering order. The condo you live in, who owns it? Gerald's mouth opens, closes. What does that have to do with who owns it? Silence. Maureen's fingers tighten around her wine glass stem. From 2 seats down, Great Aunt Ruthie speaks first. I thought you 2 owned it. They don't. I look at Ruthie when I say it, then back to the table. I bought it 3 years ago, when they were 3 months behind on rent and facing eviction. I own the property. They pay me $400 a month. Market rate is $1,400. The whispers start immediately. Low, scattered, like wind through dry leaves. Uncle Ray leans forward in his chair. Cousin Ellen's eyes go wide. A woman I barely recognize at table 6 turns to her husband and mouths something. Maureen's hand lifts from the table. Ondine, you're making this sound worse than... I'm stating facts, Mom. I tap the paper on the table. This is a 30-day non-renewal notice. Your lease expires April 30th. I'm choosing not to renew it. Gerald picks up the paper. His face drains. Not red, not angry, white. The color of a man who just realized the floor beneath him belongs to someone else and always has. You can't do this, Maureen says. Her voice cracks on the last word. That's our home. It's my property. You've been late on rent 11 out of 36 months. That's a lease violation. Gerald sets the paper down. His hand is shaking. I haven't raised my voice once. I don't plan to. The facts are loud enough on their own. But I'm not done. There's something else, I say. And I reach for the second document. The bank statement is a single page, 4 lines highlighted in yellow. I place it flat on the table so Gerald and Maureen can both see it, and I don't whisper. 6 weeks ago, I had ankle reconstruction surgery. The $18,000 I saved for physical therapy was in a joint account for emergencies. Dad withdrew every penny, 4 transactions, 2 months. The room holds its breath. Gerald stares at the yellow highlights. He doesn't touch the paper. We were going to pay it back. Where did it go, Dad? Nothing. I turn to Brent. He's leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, jaw tight. For the first time tonight, he's not grinning. It went to Brent's gambling debts, I say, and his DUI fines, and a pawn shop on Route 9. Brent's chair scrapes the floor as he stands. You don't know what you're talking about. 4,200 to Ridgemont Pawn and Trade. March 14th, the day your truck got repossessed. He sits back down, slow, like the air went out of him. The whispers in the hall are louder now. Not whispers anymore, low voices, sharp intakes of breath, a chair creaking as someone leans forward. At table 4, a woman covers her mouth with her hand. Uncle Ray is staring at Gerald with an expression I've never seen on his face before. Tiffany looks at Brent, then at me, then back at Brent. Something in her face changes. Not anger, recognition, the slow understanding of someone who's starting to see the shape of a lie she's standing inside. From the end of the head table, Aunt Donna rises to her feet. Her voice carries across the silent room. Maureen, is this true? You took her surgery money? Maureen stands up. The tears come instantly, the way they always do, on cue, perfectly timed. She presses a napkin to her face and draws a shuddering breath. This is exactly what I was afraid of, she says. Her voice trembles. Ondine has been under a lot of stress. The painkillers after her surgery, she hasn't been herself. I let the sentence land, let the room absorb it. Then I respond. I'm not on painkillers, Mom. I stopped taking them 2 weeks after surgery, ibuprofen only. Dr. Henley can confirm. Maureen shakes her head, tears streaming. You're confused, sweetheart. You don't even realize... Wait, Cousin Ellen is standing now. Her green wrap dress catches the light as she steps out from behind her chair. Aunt Maureen, you told my mom that Ondine was addicted to pills. Those were your words. You said she was out of control. A ripple moves through the hall. A low, what? From somewhere near table 3. Great Aunt Ruthie sets down her cane with a deliberate click. Maureen pivots. I never said addicted. I said dependent. There's a difference. No, Maureen. Aunt Donna's voice is flat, steady, the voice of an older sister who has had enough. You told me she was out of control. You said it on the phone last Tuesday. I wrote it down because I didn't believe you. Now I know why. The napkin drops from Maureen's hand. Her face, still wet, flushes red, not from crying, but from the recognition that her safety net, the story she wove to protect herself, just unraveled in front of everyone she was trying to impress. You're all taking her side? Her voice pitches upward. After everything I've done for this family? Nobody answers. The silence says everything. Gerald stands. He raises both hands, palms out, the universal gesture of a man who thinks he can still control the room by appearing calm. Everyone, please. This is a family matter. Let's handle it privately. You had a chance to handle it privately, Dad. I keep my voice even. 3 days ago, you told me to drop it. I said we'd discuss it after... No. You said, don't ruin your mother's night. The same night you're wearing a suit I bought you, eating a meal I paid for, in a building I decorated. I'm done being private about the people who robbed me. Great Aunt Ruthie wraps her cane on the floor. Once, the sound cuts through everything. Gerald, did you take that girl's money or not? He looks down at the table, at the bank statement, at the yellow highlights. He doesn't answer. Ruthie nods slowly. That's all I need to hear. Brent shoves his chair back. This is insane. She's being dramatic. She's always dramatic. And then a quiet voice from his right. Tiffany. Brent? She's not looking at him. She's looking at the table. You told me she offered her chair. You said she was fine with it. Tiffany, stay out of... That wasn't true, was it? He doesn't answer either. The silence runs in the family. Tiffany picks up her purse from the back of the chair, my chair, and stands. She doesn't say goodbye to Brent. She doesn't say anything else at all. She just walks toward the far end of the hall and sits down next to Great Aunt Ruthie, who pats her hand once without a word. The head table now has an empty seat. The irony isn't lost on me. I point to the non-renewal notice still sitting in front of Gerald. That is a 30-day non-renewal. Your lease expires April 30th. I won't be renewing it. You have 30 days to find a new place. Maureen grabs the edge of the table. You can't throw us out. We're your parents. I'm not throwing you out. I'm declining to renew a lease that's been violated. Chronically late rent, unauthorized access to my finances, and $18,000 withdrawn without my knowledge or consent. Where are we supposed to go? Gerald asks. His voice has gone small. Smaller than I've ever heard it. That's not my problem anymore, Dad. I've been solving your problems for 10 years. I'm done. The words come out clean. No tremor, no tears. Not because I'm not hurting. I am. But the hurt isn't new. It's 10 years old. I've just been carrying it quietly until tonight. One more thing, I say. I called the bank this morning. Gerald, your name has been removed from the joint account. Any further withdrawals will require my authorization only. Gerald looks at Maureen. Maureen looks at the room. The room looks at me. I pick up the bank statement and the non-renewal notice, fold them, place them back in the clutch. I paid for this party. The venue, the catering, the flowers, the cake. I paid for your condo. I paid for Brent's fines and Brent's debts and Brent's mistakes. The only thing I'm not paying for anymore is my own silence. I snap the clutch shut. The sound is small, a tiny metallic click. But in a room this quiet, it sounds like a door closing. And maybe it is. Aunt Donna is the first to stand. She's been sitting with the patience of someone who has waited a very long time for this moment. I'm ashamed I didn't say something sooner. She looks directly at Maureen. You've been using this girl since she was 24 years old, and I watched. That's on me. Great Aunt Ruthie raises her cane an inch off the floor and lets it fall, her version of a gavel. Gerald, I'm calling your brother Harold tomorrow. He needs to know exactly what you've done with that money. Brent pushes away from the table. He doesn't speak. He grabs his jacket from the back of his chair and heads for the exit, not looking at anyone. Tiffany does not follow. She stays in her seat next to Ruthie, hands in her lap, very still. Maureen is crying now. Not the strategic tears from earlier. These are real, ragged, the sound of someone whose script has been torn in half. You're destroying this family, Ondine. I look at her. My mother, the woman who raised me, the woman who told 53 people I was a pill addict so they wouldn't believe me when I told the truth. No, Mom, I'm leaving it. There's a difference. At tables across the hall, people are standing, murmuring, reaching for coats. Uncle Ray shakes his head slowly. Two of Gerald's co-workers from the mill quietly collect their wives and move toward the door. But a few come toward me, Gerald's cousin Frank, a neighbor from Elm Street. They put a hand on my shoulder. A quick squeeze. They don't need to say the words. Gerald doesn't stand. He sits in his chair at the head of a table that no longer feels like the head of anything, staring at the folded paper in front of him. You can cry, Mom, I say, but you can't rewrite what happened, not tonight. I collect my crutch, tuck the clutch under my arm, and I walk toward the door. The walk takes longer than it should. The boot, the crutch, the hardwood floor that I spent 2 phone calls negotiating to rent, because Maureen wanted a hall with real floors, not that rubber nonsense. Every step echoes. Nobody stops me. Aunt Donna catches up near the exit. She's carrying her coat and her purse, like she'd already planned to leave the moment I did. You need a ride? Rachel's outside. Donna nods. Call me tomorrow. I mean it. I will. She hugs me, carefully, avoiding the crutch, one hand on the back of my head. The kind of hug my mother used to give me when I was very small, before she figured out which child was useful and which one was lovable. I push through the double doors into the parking lot. The air hits my face. Cold, sharp, late April Pennsylvania. The sky is clear and dark and full of stars that don't care about anniversary parties. Rachel is parked 3 spots from the entrance, engine idling, window down. She looks at me over the top of her reading glasses. How'd it go? I lower myself into the passenger seat. Every joint in my body exhales. I don't have a family dinner to go to anymore. Rachel puts the car in drive. You have a physical therapy appointment Monday. That's a start. I almost laugh. Almost. As we pull out of the lot, I look back at the VFW hall through the rear window. The banner is still visible through the glass doors. 40 years of love. The string lights still glow. The party is still technically happening. But it isn't mine anymore. And for the first time, that feels right. I drove away lighter than I'd felt in 10 years. The calls start the next morning. Maureen's first. I let it ring to voicemail. She leaves a 2-minute message, half crying, half accusing. You humiliated us. You humiliated your father. I hope you're proud of yourself. Then she calls Aunt Donna, then Uncle Ray, then every cousin, in-law, and second cousin she can reach. The script is familiar. Ondine overreacted. Ondine is unstable. Ondine needs help. It doesn't work. Too many people were in that room. Too many of them saw me standing on a broken ankle while a stranger sat in my chair. Too many of them heard Gerald say, "It's just a chair," and watched Maureen call me a pill addict when the bank statement was on the table. You can't rewrite a story 53 people watched happen. Aunt Donna calls me at noon. Your mother called me crying. I told her the same thing I'm telling you. She brought this on herself. Cousin Ellen texts. I'm sorry I didn't say more. I should have. Love you. Great Aunt Ruthie, who uses Facebook the way she uses a cane, with precision and force, posts in the family group that evening. What I saw last night broke my heart. Not because of what Ondine did, because of what was done to her. That girl deserved better from her parents. Shame on whoever disagrees. 14 reactions within an hour. All hearts. Gerald sends me one text on Monday. Can we talk? I don't respond. Not yet. I'm not punishing him. I'm just not ready. There's a difference. By Tuesday, the count stands at 4 family members who've reached out to support me directly. 2 who've told Maureen they need space. 1 who uninvited her from a May baptism. The corner is empty now, and I'm not the one standing in it. The practical math is brutal and simple. Gerald's pension from the mill pays $1,900 a month. Maureen has no income. At $400 a month, my condo was a lifeline they never acknowledged. At market rate, $1,400, they can't afford it. And I'm not renewing the lease regardless. By mid-May, they find a 1-bedroom apartment in Dunmore, 20 minutes farther from town. It's smaller, older. The hallway smells like carpet cleaner. Gerald carries boxes in silence. Maureen, I'm told, cries through the entire move. I'm not there for it. I'm not invited, and I don't ask. Brent disappears for 2 weeks after the party. His phone goes straight to voicemail. Tiffany, I learned from Ellen, broke up with him the following morning. She said she couldn't trust a single thing he told her, Ellen reports. Smart girl. No one in the family offers Brent money anymore. Not because they all suddenly hate him, but because now they know where the money goes. Awareness is a powerful disinfectant. 3 weeks after the party, Gerald calls. Not a text this time. A call. His voice is low, stripped of the authority he wore like that monogrammed shirt. I made a mistake, Ondine. I know, Dad. I should have told you. I should have asked. You should have. But a mistake is once. This was a system. Long pause. I hear him breathing. What do you need from me? He asks. $18,000. I'll accept a payment plan. $300 a month from your pension. It'll take 5 years. Okay. And Dad? Don't ever sign your name to my accounts again. Okay. It's not forgiveness. It's not reconciliation. It's a starting line. The first honest transaction between us in a decade. I'll take it. The physical therapy clinic on Grant Street has fluorescent lights and a faint smell of rubbing alcohol. It's not glamorous. But when Dr. Henley reviews my intake and says, "We can start the full program next week," I nearly cry in the waiting room. I pay for the first month with what's left in my personal savings, plus the first installment from Gerald. $300, deposited on time. I check twice. My ankle responds to therapy the way soil responds to rain, slowly, then all at once. By week 3, I'm bearing partial weight without the boot. By week 6, The crutch becomes a cane. By week 8, the cane stays in the car. My business doesn't skip a beat. I land a corporate retreat contract the week after the party, then a graduation dinner, then a small wedding in Scranton. Clients don't know about my family. They know me as the woman who shows up early, stays late, and makes sure every napkin is folded the right way. Aunt Donna becomes the family I chose. She drives me to therapy on Tuesdays when my schedule is tight. Cousin Ellen stops by on weekends with coffee and terrible reality television. One afternoon, I find a letter in my mailbox, handwritten. Maureen's looping cursive on cream stationery. You broke our family, Ondine. I hope someday you understand what you did. I read it once. Fold it. Place it in the kitchen drawer with the old lease and the bank statement. I don't write back. My mom wrote that I broke the family. And honestly, part of me wondered, did I? Or did I just stop holding together something that was already broken? I think a lot of us carry that weight, the fear that setting a boundary means being the villain. Have you ever been told you were too much for simply protecting yourself? I'd really love to hear your story. Share it in the comments. I want to be honest about something. For 10 years, I told myself that giving was the same as loving. That if I just paid enough, helped enough, showed up enough, eventually they'd see me. Not as the planner, not as the fixer, not as the ATM, just as Ondine. It never happened. And the reason is simple. I wasn't buying love. I was buying permission to exist in my own family. And that's a price no one should ever have to pay. I don't tell you this to lecture. I tell you because I wish someone had told me, earlier, louder, that generosity without boundaries isn't generosity. It's a transaction where one person pays and the other takes, and the person paying always runs out first. My parents aren't monsters. I want to be clear about that. They're people who made choices, selfish, small, damaging choices, and built a system that worked for everyone except the person holding it up. Gerald chose silence because it was easier than honesty. Maureen chose Brent because admitting he failed meant admitting she failed. And I chose to keep writing checks because the alternative was standing in the silence and feeling the absence. But here's what I learned standing in that corner, leaning on a crutch in a room I paid for. The absence was already there. It had been there for years. I just couldn't feel it because I was too busy filling it with money. Setting a boundary isn't selfish. It's the first honest thing I ever did for myself. Not the cruelest, the most honest. I didn't walk away because I stopped loving them. I walked away because I started loving myself enough to stop standing in corners. And that was the beginning. 4 months later. My ankle is at 80%. I walked 2 miles yesterday without pain, the first time since the accident. I wore heels to a client meeting last Saturday. Low heels, but still. Heels. My physical therapist high-fived me, which is the medical equivalent of a standing ovation. The condo is rented. New tenant, a young couple, first home together. They pay $1,400 a month on the first of every month and have never once asked me to fund their brother's gambling habit. Gerald has made 3 payments, on time, each one deposited quietly, without commentary. We talk on the phone occasionally, short calls, 5 minutes, maybe 7. We don't discuss Maureen. We don't discuss Brent. We talk about the weather, the Phillies, and whether the diner on Main Street changed their coffee blend. It's not warm, but it's honest. And honest is more than I had before. Maureen hasn't reached out since the letter. I hear through Ellen that she's adjusting to the Dunmore apartment. That she tells people I went through a difficult time. Her version of history will always be different from mine. I've accepted that. Brent moved somewhere. Allentown, maybe. Nobody's sure. Nobody's asking. Last Sunday, I organized a birthday party. Aunt Donna's 59th. Small. 20 guests. Backyard barbecue. Paper plates. Christmas lights strung between 2 oak trees. And at the head of the table, right at the center, there was a chair with my name on it. Not a place card. Just Ellen, grinning, patting the seat. Saved you a spot. I sat down. First one seated, last one to leave. Nobody asked me to move. Nobody suggested I'd be more comfortable somewhere else. The first party I planned where I actually got to sit at the table. If you're standing in someone's corner right now because they told you that your comfort doesn't matter, that your pain isn't real enough, that your contribution isn't worth a seat at their table, I want you to hear this. The chair was never just a chair. It was a test. Every time they asked me to move, to shrink, to stand aside, they were testing whether I'd keep choosing them over myself. And for 10 years, I passed that test, every single time. The night I failed, it was the night I finally got it right. I'm not telling you to cut off your family. I'm not telling you to burn bridges or make scenes at anniversary parties. Every situation is different. Every family has its own gravity. But I'm telling you this: when your health, your finances, and your dignity are under attack, and the people attacking them are the ones who are supposed to protect you, a boundary isn't optional. It's survival. I don't carry anger anymore. I carry clarity. I know what I'm worth, and I know what I'm willing to pay. Those two numbers finally match. And for the record, my ankle is doing great. I wore heels last Saturday for the first time in 6 months. Proper heels, 3 inches, navy blue to match the dress I bought myself. They were spectacular. Thank you for staying with me through this. If this story meant something to you, hit subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. I've linked another story in the description that I think you'll connect with. It's about someone who was told they owed their family everything until they found out what their family really owed them. Go check it out. And remember, your peace is not negotiable. I'll see you in the next one.